Genesis chapter 10 may look like nothing more than a long list of ancient names. But hidden inside this chapter are mysterious nations, a powerful figure named Nimrod, the strange story of Peleg, and a fascinating connection to the Tower of Babel. Today, we're putting your knowledge to the test with 10 questions about the mysteries of Genesis 10. Some answers come directly from Scripture. Others involve interpretations that scholars have debated for centuries. Track your score, get ready for a challenge. And let's jump into question number 1. Here's how to play. Read each question carefully. Choose the best answer. The correct answer will be revealed. Pause the video if needed, then wait for the answer reveal. This quiz is meant to encourage learning and reflection. Question 1. What did Genesis call Nimrod? A. A mighty hunter. B. A temple priest. C. An Egyptian king. D. An ark builder. The correct answer is A. A mighty hunter. Genesis 10 verse 9 says, "He was a mighty hunter before the Lord." The Bible doesn't actually say that Nimrod hunted human souls. However, later Jewish traditions portray Nimrod as a powerful and rebellious ruler. Even his name is interesting. Nimrod is commonly associated with a Hebrew root connected with rebel or rebellion. But Genesis itself doesn't explicitly say Nimrod means rebel. So the picture of Nimrod as a rebellious tyrant comes partly from interpretation and later tradition, not directly from Genesis 10. Bible reference, Genesis 10 verses 8 to 9. Question 2. What does before the Lord mean? A. In worship. B. In a temple. C. In God's presence. D. With God's approval. The answer is C. In God's presence. Some interpreters understand the phrase negatively because of Nimrod's reputation and later traditions portraying him as rebellious against God. But we should be careful about saying that the Hebrew literally means against God. That's an interpretation, not the only possible translation. Bible reference, Genesis 10 verse 9. Question 3. Where did Nimrod's kingdom begin? A. Egypt. B. Persia. C. Babel. D. Rome. The answer is C. Babel. Genesis 10 verse 10 says, "And the beginning of his kingdom was Babel and Erech and Akkad and Calneh in the land of Shinar." So Babel is specifically identified as the beginning of Nimrod's kingdom. And that becomes very interesting when we reach Genesis 11. Question 4. How many nations are traditionally linked to Genesis 10? A. 12. B. 40. C. 70. D. 144. The answer is C. 70. Genesis 10 is traditionally known as the Table of Nations, tracing peoples back to Noah's sons, Shem, Ham, and Japheth. The traditional count is 70 nations or peoples. There are some complexities when comparing ancient textual traditions. So I describe 70 as the traditional number, rather than claiming Genesis itself gives us the number 70 explicitly. Question 5. What does 70 often represent? A. The tribes of Israel. B. The years of creation. C. The nations of the world. D. The generational curses. The correct answer is C. The nations of the world. In Jewish and Christian interpretation, the traditional 70 nations of Genesis 10 became associated with the nations of the world. The number 70 also appears elsewhere in Scripture. For example, Genesis 46 verse 27 gives the traditional count of 70 people from Jacob's family who went down to Egypt. And Exodus 24 verse 9 mentions 70 elders of Israel. But if you guess judgment, you aren't completely wrong. In prophetic text, 70 also represents a complete cycle of judgment, like the 70 years Israel spent exiled in Babylon. But when looking at humanity, it always points back to the nations. Jeremiah 29 verse 10. Some interpreters see a meaningful pattern in these appearances of 70. But Scripture never explicitly calls 70 a secret numerical code. Bible references: Genesis 10, Genesis 46 verse 27, Exodus 24 verse 9. Question 6. How many disciples did Jesus send out? A. 12. B. 40. C. 70. D. 120. The answer is C. 70 in many English translations. The answer is C. 70 in many English translations. Luke 10 verse 1 records Jesus sending out 70 others. However, some ancient manuscripts read 72 instead of 70. That makes the connection with the traditional 70 nations of Genesis 10 especially fascinating. Some interpreters see Jesus' sending of the disciples as symbolically connected with the nations. But Luke doesn't explicitly say that Jesus chose the number because of Genesis 10. So it's an interesting interpretation, rather than something the passage directly tells us. Question 7. According to Genesis 10, what happened to the languages of Noah's descendants? A. They all spoke Hebrew. B. They developed different languages. C. They all spoke Greek. Or D. God gave everyone the same language. The answer is B. They developed different languages. Genesis 10 repeatedly connects Noah's descendants with different languages, families, lands, and nations. For example, Genesis 10 verse 5 says, "By these were the isles of the Gentiles divided in their lands, every one after his tongue." Genesis 11 verse 1 says, "And the whole earth was of one language and of one speech." But Genesis 10 has already described different peoples, languages, and nations. So what's going on? This brings us to one of the most fascinating features of Genesis 10 and 11. Question 8. Why do Genesis 10 and 11 seem to overlap? A. A textual error. B. A flashback. C. A lost chapter. D. A second creation. The answer is B. A flashback. Flashback is a modern way of describing what many interpreters see happening in the narrative. Genesis 10 gives an overview of the nations and their languages. Then Genesis 11 goes back to the period when humanity had one language and tells the story of the Tower of Babel. Genesis 11 verse 8 says, "So the Lord scattered them abroad from thence upon the face of all the earth." So one common interpretation is that Genesis 10 gives the overview, while Genesis 11 zooms in on the event connected with the division. That helps explain why the two chapters can appear to overlap. Question 9. What does Peleg's name relate to? A. A crown. B. Division. C. Warfare. D. A river. And the correct answer is B. Division. Genesis 10 verse 25 simply says, "In his days was the earth divided." But divided how? That's where the mystery begins. Some interpreters connect this with the division of peoples and languages at Babel. Others have proposed a physical division of the earth. The Bible doesn't tell us exactly what the division means. Final question number 10. What might Peleg's division refer to? A. Divided peoples. B. Continental drift. C. A worldwide famine. D. The first calendar. Answer is A. Divided peoples. One common interpretation. One interpretation connects this with the division of humanity and languages associated with Babel. Other interpreters, particularly some creationist writers, have proposed that it could refer to a physical division of the earth, sometimes connecting it with continental separation. But there's an important distinction. Genesis never mentions Pangaea or continental drift by name, so Peleg cannot be presented as direct biblical proof that the continents separated during his lifetime. What Scripture actually tells us is that in his days was the earth divided. Exactly what that means remains a matter of interpretation. This quiz is complete. If you answered 8 to 10 questions correctly, you're a Bible scholar. If you answered 5 to 7 questions correctly, well done. If you answered 4 questions or below correctly, keep learning. Count your correct answers in your head. Replay to improve your score. Take a moment to reflect on what you learned about Genesis 10. Genesis 10 reminds us that God's purposes continued from Noah to the generations that followed. The people listed weren't just names. They became families, peoples, and nations. What God begins in one generation can affect generations to come. Every detail in Scripture has purpose. We made it through the mysteries of Genesis 10. So how did you do? Did Nimrod surprise you? Did you catch the connection between Genesis 10 and Genesis 11? And what do you think happened in the days of Peleg? Drop your final score out of 10 in the comments below. And remember, some of today's answers came directly from Scripture, while others involve interpretations that scholars and theologians continue to debate. If you enjoy discovering fascinating details and difficult questions hidden throughout the Bible, make sure to like this video, subscribe to Faith Quest, and turn on notifications. Next time, we're stepping into Genesis 11 and the Tower of Babel. Thank you for watching Faith Quest, and I'll see you in the next chapter. Shabbat Shalom.